And we're here, another podcast, another week, same channel, same podcast time. Probably not, but we're here to read the next episode of the My Hero Academia anime, see the final season, episode 4. Every time I watch an episode every week, I'm just reminded that this is coming to an end, and I don't want it to go.
And now
We still got like a movie.
end is
We still got a movie, so the end ain't near for us yet.
and I face the final curtain. Regrets. I've had a few,
You regret watching this?
but then again, too few to mention. But most of all, I did it my way.
I'm sorry, but I don't know how Discord did this, but like you got to, I did it and cut you, but I still got the way at the end of it, so I don't know what happened there. I'm guessing you just separated. It separated the words for some reason, and I don't know why Discord had to do that, but it was just funny to me.
I'm glad that you get joy from my pain.
It's not even your pain, it's Discord. I had no control over doing that. I'm still so confused of why he does that. Like,
You just delight in my downfall. I understand. It's okay.
Well, we're here to review the episode called Explosion, which was kind of funny considering.
That it sounds pornographic.
No, that was not where I was going. I don't know where your mind was.
My mind was in pornographic.
Thank you for clarifying that for everybody listening.
You seemed like you were having trouble.
I was trying to avoid it.
Where my mind was. You expressed confusion about where my mind was, so I thought I would just drop the answer for you. It was pornographic. That's
okay. So we're gonna split this review into two parts. We're gonna talk about All for One's backstory real quick, I don't know if I had much to say other than WoW takes the whole like they weren't born evil thing to a whole new level with this man. Um,
Yeah, actually, I was born evil. Actually.
he was evil in the womb.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a lot of people apparently I saw this as a reaction. I thought this was common knowledge, but maybe I'm wrong. Like people were really shocked that apparently All For One and his younger brother were twins. I thought this was common knowledge, but maybe I'm wrong. I thought we were to assume that they were twins.
Yeah, I thought they were twins too. I mean, it looks like perhaps I don't know if I'd be able to say identical or fraternal, but they were certainly twins. It looks like it was identical twins.
But like, but I was watching people react to this. They were like, I got it was like all the same reaction of like, wait, they were twins. I was like, oh, I thought we were to assume that they were. I know the
Yeah,
whole
that
younger
seems.
brother thing kind of mixed things up a little bit, but it's probably just how like All For One looked at his younger brother. I mean, his brother in the first place.
Mhm.
And I guess also speaking, we're on this whole he was born evil, man. That talk about taking all the nourishment. I don't know how you do that, considering that like.
And I don't think. Do you think they implied in the womb? I watched it again because one of the comments I read online said that it was in the womb that he was stealing nourishment. How does even if you were conscious and evil is all like All For One is,
Mhm.
how would you go about stealing nourishment in the womb, and why wouldn't there just be enough for both of you, no
Well,
matter what? Why wouldn't you be able to just get as much as you wanted, be completely full, and be done with it?
All For One's a great son of a bitch. But besides that, I would say I guess like the whole nourishment stealing. I'm guessing it had to been in the womb because the thing is, it's like at least as far as I could tell, the birth was violent. Um, basically killed their mother. I'm not sure if they killed if it killed the mother, if it killed the mother on birth or it was after the fact. So
Uh-huh.
I think it's also to assume that All For One had the ability to steal abilities from inside the womb. Um, because apparently the spike thing that he uses a lot, that he really loves to use on everybody in My Hero Academia world, is his mother's ability. I was not aware of that, so that was new information for me.
Mhm.
It's possible that I assumed that maybe he was somehow taking nourishment with the ability to steal powers. Um, but that doesn't make much sense either when I really think when I said that out loud. Like that doesn't make any sense. How would that ability steal nourishment? It's possible that maybe what was happening, and I don't know, like maybe you can go look at it. I'm not sure how violent that would look, but like, was there an umbilical cord on his little brother in the womb? Was there a umbilical cord period? Because that's how nourishment gets to you in the womb in the first place. And I don't know if there was an umbilical cord on the younger brother. If there wasn't, um,
There was.
there
I mean,
was.
why wouldn't there be? If there wasn't an umbilical cord, the kid doesn't get any nourishment, period.
Man, wasn't that it was assumed that he wasn't because he was malnourished?
Uh-huh.
I'm just saying, like maybe All For One. I don't know. I mean, this we're you kind of stretch things with with All For One in the anime sense because it's like it's assumed that All For One he was evil and he had his own consciousness to be able to do this kind of things. Because I think All For One was saying that he did this basically.
Mhm.
Um, but it makes more sense. Like okay, he wasn't feeding his brother when they were older, as far as I could tell, or he wasn't feeding
Mhm.
him a lot because I feel like he would die if he didn't have any food. So like, he was feeding him the minimum that he could. Um, I don't, I don't know how like he was stealing it. It just assumed that he was stealing nourishment from his brother. Also, speaking of which, I guess I wasn't thinking about this too much, but I noticed when there's a lot of when I was also watching people react to this, a lot of the women, specifically reactors, were bringing up that she's drinking while she was pregnant,
Yeah.
and it just dawned on me, like why they were saying that. Was she trying to murder her kid?
No, I think she was just drunk.
Are you sure? Because she didn't
Um,
seem she even if we were to take the fact that okay, no, she was just drinking because she's a drunk, she looks very bad. I mean, I get that
Right.
she was homeless, but
She's a homeless drunk. I think that's as deep as it gets.
I don't know. Like, I mean, because I'm trying to think. It's like if your kid wasn't, if your kid wasn't evil from the get go. I mean, there's no way for her to know her child or children were evil. Well, her child was evil, but I guess I'm just trying to figure out. I was like, did she have her quirk? Is it possible he stole her quirk from inside? I mean, all he needs to do is touch you, and that's it. Like, and it shouldn't matter from what side of the field that he does it, from inside or outside. It's still in her, and he's still in there, and he could take. It's just one of those things. Like I don't really know. I know I'm probably stretching, because I'm trying to make him more evil than he already kind of is. Just, and I don't need to do that because he's already doing that. He's done that enough, but I don't know. To me, it's like I wonder if there was any more that could be taken from that than what was just said visually. I mean, said verbally. I don't know.
Mhm.
I just want to check to see. Did he have a? Did he? I want to know. Like, did he take the umbilical cord from his brother? It's like, find that episode. Like, I mean, I'm willing to just like let it go as like it's just what it is. There's nothing really all that deep about it. But like you said, but I just want to know. I watched it multiple times, and I guess his mother didn't look all that bad. I thought she looked a lot worse.
Yeah. She.
Oh, never mind. He had a.
Also, don't. I mean, I know they're both like All for One is strong and everything, but even as a baby, wouldn't he at least need the mom around to like take care of him for a little bit? I mean, at the end of the episode, he's the baby's still trying to fight, but the baby's also like a full-grown man in there now. Man, you know what I mean? There's a full-grown man's mind in there in the baby. But like early on, like All for One, the idea of All for One like coming out and killing the mother in childbirth, and then like providing for himself and his brother is a little wild. I I know that we're watching a silly anime and stuff like that, but like that still seems like that's too much.
I think she died during childbirth.
Then you're saying All for One like not only took care of himself on the street as a baby, but like also took care of his brother?
Who's to say that he took care of his younger brother? Throughout the course of his childhood, we were definitely seeing that like he was very possessive of him, but it wasn't possessive in like in the loving sense. It was possessive of like you are mine, basically. On top of that, it's possible that he could have been feeding him just enough, and I mean the bare minimum or whatever. And like it's also possible. I'm willing to go on the limb and say I don't think he took care of him. I think his younger brother, considering that he stayed malnourished the entire time and he was very weak to begin with, it doesn't really seem like All for One cared that much that his younger brother was frail. He kept bringing it up for sure, but it didn't seem like it was one of those like I want to fix that. More like I'm manipulating everything to make sure that you can't, like you're not allowed to go anywhere. At least from what I can tell, is like his younger brother wasn't allowed to go anywhere by himself. Anytime he needed to go anywhere, I guess he had to be with his older brother. But um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, but there's an image of like the mother's hand and the baby's hand, and it's all bloody, and they're underneath a bridge, and it's like even with the whole idea that like it does seem not that feasible even for All for One to take care of himself as a baby. Um,
I mean, there's certainly things he can and cannot do. We saw like when he went back to baby form, he could only cry. Like he lost the ability to speak and stuff like that. Like it seems outrageous to think that he they're implying that like he just was fine. You know, he got milk or
It's
whatever
it's
he got.
possible that, I mean, typically in a
Possible is the whole thing we're discussing
I
here.
know, but I'm just like, let me get my thought out. What I wanted to say is like, in a realistic situation, when there is a woman that gave birth to children, and if they happen to give birth outside and the mother's dead, and if somebody walked somehow, and I get that they were underneath a bridge over water, how did anybody find them? But we're just gonna go on the possibility that someone somehow found the kid. um Either that or he crawled this, still in the water, screw it, like somebody found him. I mean, the world of power is possibly some superhero or somebody with power was flying around and happened to find a kid crying on a thing. But I mean, they were by themselves like when they were like preteens, when they were like 8 or 9.
Uh-huh.
I mean, like they were definitely living by themselves. I don't know how they got to that point. um Considering All For One values him owning you, it's one of the possibilities is that he got found and he was put in adoption, and then when he got old enough to do what he wanted to do, he killed the parents
Hmm.
of the that adopted him, and then he went off on his own. But then again, I don't know. There's a scene where they have these like people talking about like people with powers and going out of their way to kill them, and then All For One as like it appears to be like an 8-year-old in a cloth sack or whatever like that, just come out of nowhere and stabs them all. So I was like I don't know if he was found or he just sat there.
It's a little I think maybe the story either has gaps in it or could have been better developed.
I think All For One was just more of an idea than a person for the manga creator. Um, I want to say I don't even know if this was a part of the manga. I couldn't tell you. I don't know if this was. I could have like asked that on Google to see what kind of answer they gave me, but I think the whole idea was to show that All For One was evil, and there was just no hope for the guy. He was just born evil.
Hmm.
Which a lot of people like to say that you're not born evil. You have influences, which is true. You still have influences that influence you, but you might have a predisposition to something. It may not be evil, but it's like you may have a predisposition to something. 'Cause even psychopaths or whatever like that, like they're not psychopathic as a kid. They know they're different, but it's like not like a tendency to lash out, not until they're older. When that's developed fully. Eh. I don't know. I think it just showed that he was psychopathic. I mean, not psychopathic, but he was just possessive, evil. Um, when he found out that the hey Rye, uh, that he was evil and that he was born evil and that was about it. Basically, he like and he was possessive of his brother. I also don't know if it was ever revealed. 'Cause I know we all know that Yoichi his brother died. I don't think it was ever explained that it was All For One that killed him. Um, so I feel like I assumed that at some point, but I don't know.
Wait.
I don't know where I
Oh, you
assumed that.
mean, but it's clear that he killed him now.
I say I think it was clear before that he was that well. It was clear that he was killed, but I guess it wasn't clear that All For One was the one that killed him. It's clear now because we saw it. But
Uh-huh.
also apparently something about that. There were the anime episode of his backstory. They showed when the second user found Kudo found Yoichi and then took him,
Uh-huh.
and then there was a scene with them running away from All For One. Apparently, according to a viewer, someone else watching, watching a reaction to somebody else, from somebody else, they were saying that there was a time skip between that, so like that didn't immediately just happen. Like he didn't immediately get chased by All For One. Apparently there was a time skip between like it wasn't a lot, but it was enough that One For All realized that he was gone and found him again. So like,
Hmm.
but between him being found and taken out of the solitary and then One for All chasing him down that sewer and killing him. Uh, Also, I guess another thing that's interesting too. When we get clarification now from All for One that his quirk for stealing quirks, he used it on his brother. Obviously, I guess this shouldn't be a shock that he used it on his brother, but it didn't work on him because his power wasn't registering the factor that was inside his younger brother as a quirk because it was too weak and it was malformed because he was malnourished. So in a really interesting way, like One For All kind of shot himself in the foot by making sure that his brother didn't get nutrients.
Yeah.
So when he gave him the power, he caused his own demise. At least
Through his arrogance.
the start of his own
His,
demise.
well, and also the closest the character ever comes to love. You know, not to put a nice spin on it or anything, but like
I
this is the
wasn't
closest
I
he
wasn't
comes to caring about somebody.
I wasn't love or caring. I was just possession.
I said the closest he ever came.
I don't think that was close. I mean, you can
It's
okay,
like this.
you can spin it that way. I'm not gonna fight you on it, but I'm just like
His brother didn't have anything to offer him except weakness. And he took care of him from infancy and made sure he was alive.
barely.
Gave him his quirk. Okay, but gave him his quirk. And while he saw him as property and he was sick and twisted about it, he did um, sort of give him the bare minimum so that he could live until he killed him. And you know, there was a bare minimum of taking care of him there, I guess, right?
In all seriousness, yes, he gave him the bare minimum. He didn't need to do that. He could have killed him outright. But I still said, just like, if you consider that caring in any
I
regard,
didn't say it was caring. I said it was the closest he ever got. Like that, his brother does stand out as sort of an exception to the rule in how he treats people. He treated him on a different level than anybody else ever. Even Shigaraki, like when he had Shigaraki, he was 100% grooming him to be a vessel for him to take over later. He wasn't like nurturing him so much as like conditioning a new body. It's not the same. Do you know what I mean? As like the other guy had nothing to offer him, and he's like, "Well, I'm going to keep you alive and take care of you, and even give you a quirk."
I mean, okay, I I I can't get beyond the possession bit, but you know, I mean, you're right.
I'm
He
not
didn't.
asking you to. I'm just saying that there was sort of a little something different for him about this guy. You know?
I'll say that. Yeah, there was something different about his brother, and he kept him alive for as long as he did until he killed him, which was kind of shocking how fast he murdered his brother. He grabbed him by the shirt and immediately disintegrated him. I'm like, good gracious, that was quick.
Well, it's like the second he stopped being his property, he's like, "Well, you're not my property anymore, so let's go." You know?
I mean, that's true. I guess speaking of which, I was going to bring up something. Back when Oprah was still younger and he was still a kid and teenager, and he went off somewhere, left his younger brother, reading comics. He came back floating, glowing. Uh, I don't know if it was ever stated where the heck the glowing child was even from. I didn't think it really mattered. But I'm
Uh huh.
guessing based on the fact that the information he gave, the glowing child was from India. So it seems like the very
How do we
first
know that?
he said he went to India.
Oh, cool.
It was like I was piecing apart because like he had said he was over there in India killing people because India had a lot of people with power users over there, and he was upset, or at least he was curious or whatever like that. He didn't like the fact that there was power users gathering amongst themselves versus gathering among him. So he went over there and killed him. And his brother asked him, "Why do you look like that?" Because he was talking about the glowing look, and
Hmm.
he said that he did all that, and that's where he got that's where he got the ability when he was over
He's
there.
like, "Darling, you're glowing. Are you pregnant?" Sorry. You know how they
But
say pregnant women look like they're glowing.
I don't know. I guess you could say that. I don't really wouldn't. I haven't stared at a pregnant woman long enough to get a glow of their skin. I know it's not literal glowing, I'm just saying I haven't like. I'm gonna move on from this subject. But
Yeah, I was gonna say your foot's in your mouth a little bit now.
you started this. But basically, it seems like the first quirk that showed up on the planet was a glowing quirk, and that was something that stated in the very first episode. So it stands to reason wherever that quirk showed up was where the first power showed up. At least in my infinite wisdom, which could be infinitely flawed, I'm guessing the first quirk showing up anywhere was in India. That's where he got the glowing ability from, anyway. But it just seems kind of strange that he had that, and then like that's the second time we see him use it, and the first time I seen him use it was when he reverted to his younger age. As for why he doesn't use it any further, I couldn't tell you. It's possible that maybe it just got buried underneath all kinds of other powers.
The other thing is, why is he using it at all? Like when he's rushing towards Shigaraki. Like I get the story reason why it's appearing because that's kind of cool that he's reverting back to his childhood. But is it implying that he's getting less able to control his quirks? Like, does he not glow because he's learned to actively suppress the quirk, or like, what's
Well,
the story there?
I think it said that like as Bakugo's blowing him up,
Whoa!
that as
I just
like
said whoa. I didn't say nothing.
as Bakugo was blowing him up, apparently he makes
Whoa.
mention as he's being hurt that like he can't his quirk factors aren't coming back together as easily for some reason. He's like, I don't know why this is, what's causing this. Like, is it just because I'm younger and my body's more frail? So I'm
Hmm.
assuming he started glowing because he can't control it. Basically, like it's just because it's a sign that he is getting weaker. I guess is the best way to put it. Simple way to put it. I think it's a sign that he is getting weaker, and it's supposed to have been a sign for us, the viewer, but it wasn't the clearest sign. I would say it just kind of weird. It was like, oh, he's a light bulb now.
Yeah, we don't know what it is, but it doesn't look good. That's all we kind of know. Like,
It wasn't the clearest sign of him getting weaker.
I don't think you're supposed to glow, dude.
I mean, well, he's doing it, so we can't stop him now. But yeah, I think it's maybe what that sign is. I'm trying to think if there's anything else about One4ALL's backstory to even be talked about. I'll just talk about this. I guess we get a little bit more motivation towards like why he is so like set on getting on One4ALL, into his system. I guess I never thought about it, but I guess like One4ALL kind of is his quirk because he started the chain reaction by giving his brother the power that would eventually become that power. Um, but basically he's been looking for it ever since he gave it to his younger brother, and he killed him, and he couldn't find it because for whatever reason, but not for whatever reason, we already know why. It is just manifested and evolved. And he gave it to Kudo. So it seems like, and I don't know if this is how it's supposed to be, how you're supposed to understand it, but my understanding, it seemed like based off of Kudo's reaction that he has another quirk in his being, um that like Yoichi gave it to him by accident, or like he slipped it to him right as he was about to die. That's what happened. Like, I don't.
But how did he do that?
I'm guessing Yoichi just didn't know he did that.
But how did he know that he could pass his quirk?
I don't think he knew he could pass his quirk.
Then how did he pass his quirk? You're supposed to pass the quirk willingly only, and it can't be stolen. Remember that was like
Yeah,
what
but
they
what if that's
established
just how it
earlier.
evolved later on? Like that's not how it started.
How do we know that?
I'm just assuming that's how that worked because, like, I mean, there's the only other way to explain it. Now, granted, there is a time period. Well, I don't know how Kudo would have gotten it and not known he got it because Kudo clearly didn't know he had it until his commander told him that he has another
He
quirk
said
factor in him.
he said he felt different. I mean that's okay. Like he did say he felt
Yeah, no, but
different.
he didn't know he had it. Like it wasn't like a transmission that he knew about.
Hmm.
He didn't like he just said that, yeah, I felt different, but that's
Right.
not
So
him
then how did
knowing.
Kudo know how to like pass it on? Like it's weird. Like it's like I don't know. It's really weird that like this ever got passed on, like based on the way the story's built. Like
Wait a
it
minute,
just doesn't.
is it possible that some of Yoichi's blood got into
his mouth
Kudo?
is how it was passed on. I'm not saying that's not true, but I'm saying like I thought you could only pass it on willingly, not just
Well, here's
because
the
like
thing. I mean, this is a
like
big
in that case,
assumption.
like any like anyone that had the all for one and like made out with somebody would pass it on. Like you
Here's
know
the
what I mean? Like it's an intentional act.
here's the here's the thing. I got two.
Imagine
I
never
got
being able to get a blowjob because you'd give them your power.
but this is my these are my two, bigger assumptions. First one is that it didn't start out as something that was being passed along willingly, because we even have Deku in a movie giving Bakugo the quirk, and he even did it willingly, but it still came back to him. And I want to say
Which
that
is just
that movie was canon. That
okay,
actually,
but that is just movie bullshit that it came back to him. Like it never came back to All Might. Like that's just movie bullshit.
I mean, I'm willing to accept it because it led to something cool. I mean, that's what. But in number two, I forgot what my thought process with number two was. I forgot. It's possible that maybe as like Yoichi was being grabbed by his brother, and I get that it had to be happening all in seconds, because that's how, at least how things usually happen in real life. Things just happen quickly. It's possible as he was like, because he had his hand still on Kudo, and it's possible in that last second that he had a thought that he wished he could give him something, and like
Hmm.
that brief moment was all was needed for his quirk to pass on. Actually, really one quick.
Okay, but then how
Besides the
did
charging
Kudo
quirk,
know?
what did
How did
Yoichi?
Kudo know how to go to do it when he passed it on? Like it's still even like that one little accident doesn't explain how. I mean, what the storyteller should have done is All for One should have been able to detect what his quirk was capable of doing and told his brother at some point, and then his brother could have done it. It would have made perfect sense. That like they would have just needed like one sentence of writing to fix this
So
and make it not confusing.
basically, I think they said this before. Apparently, I've forgotten about this. His original quirk, Yoichi's quirk, that All for One couldn't tell what it was because he was so malnourished, was the
Yeah,
quirk bestowal. So he would have known that. Well, I guess he wouldn't. He wouldn't 100% know. But maybe he would have found that at some point that he had a quirk. Because what All for One gave him was power stock.
yeah,
Those two quirks just fused, because All for One even made mention that like his quirk must have just awakened the other one within him. Because he makes mention that he was he wasn't able to tell at first, but like it looks like now he had a very very minute quirk that didn't really mean anything.
which is and then the quirk, which in this story acts like in the storyline of this episode acts like a character or an organism or something, like latched on to the quirk that happened so that it could like merge with it, like because it was so underformed, which is like I guess figurative writing because like the quirk isn't alive. And then they show it, and the quirk is a little ball on the screen, which doesn't make sense either because the quirk is DNA, not a little ball. So like the whole thing is just
Well,
I
I
guess I
mean,
do see where the fans were getting frustrated with the storyline. I liked the Bakugo part of the episode. The All Might's backstory does have a lot of problems. You're being
sorry,
quiet.
no, sorry, I'm just looking at something. I just want to read. I'm just reading about bestowal, because bestow, whatever you want to call it. But
Pistolia.
I just want to like, there's any if there's any explanation, but I want to explain this away, but even I'm having a hard time explaining this away. Apparently, what happened with Deku is what apparently this was a part of the bestowal. Apparently, for whatever reason, some of like the essence of One for All just didn't leave him. I mean, it was stated that apparently for some strange reason, Deku won't be able to. Deku can't transfer permanently his quirk to somebody who already has one. Apparently, for some strange reason, One for All, like this was stated in the anime at some point that they explained it as like his quirk just his quirk only works on people that have that don't have an ability now, because like it's gotten enough power now because they started manifesting. So because they exist within the world of the quirk, it's not going to be able to be transferred to somebody unless that person is quirkless. But because Deku is so rare, like there's no way that there's going to be another quirkless individual. Though I say that and I'm like, you could easily make another quirkless individual. It just takes the manga creator making another story. We're not gonna get into that. But like in the population of the world, Deku's gonna be the last one who holds One for All because no one else is going to be able to take on the power. Bakugo got it temporarily because Deku was trying to give it away to him, but because Bakugo had one quirk. Speaking of one quirk, we'll get to that in a minute. But like Bakugo had one quirk. All it really was doing there, which was it does naturally, which is strengthen abilities. So when it was done and everything was done and said and done, Bakugo was done using it, it went back to Deku because Deku was the original owner of it now. That is Deku's quirk.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, because if you try to transfer to somebody who doesn't have a quirk, who has a quirk, it gives them a temporary power boost. It's like a one-up mushroom for some strange reason. But this one's got time limit. I know you say it's movie bullshit. I'm just saying that's the explanation that they gave in the anime from the creator. I will say
it's nice because that explanation is nice because it does explain why Deku is the greatest hero of all time when All Might gets more powerful with every iteration.
But besides that, I guess because of I don't know. I think Overrun's story is okay. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not saying that. Far from it. But I think because like it's really just about All for One the idea versus All for One the concept versus All for One the person. Like we don't really need to know about All for One the person. I feel like it was just establishing why All for One is the way he is. And I prefer that versus giving us a backstory that makes us feel bad for him. Because I've grown tired of that. I mean, they did it a few times here in the story, but I feel the characters they did it for.
They did it for every villain.
Every
villain we can talk about their tragic backstory.
Well, I can understand those because like those guys had humanity. They just turned out the way they did because the world was crap. But
well, Shigaraki, they were pretty bad too. They were challenging cases at the very least.
I'm not saying Shigaraki didn't have a tragic backstory. Just Shigaraki decided that he was going to be evil, and that's what I kept on saying before. It's like there's no way, like you believe that he's not going to kill him. For me, it's like I can't see another way around it because Shigaraki does not want to be saved, and I don't care if Deku wants to save him. It's all about the person that you're trying to save. If the person doesn't want to be saved, there's nothing you can do about it. Yeah, you can force it upon them, but what's to stop Shigaraki from going evil again? It's just like Shigaraki has his own baggage. Shigaraki started out as a character who just hated heroes because no one saved him. He was in a really bad situation. He was homeless. No hero found him and saved him. Idolized is One for All, All for One because All for One was there for him. But like Shigaraki at the end of the day is chosen. He wants to be a villain. That's what he's chosen. I feel like honestly, when Shigaraki embodies, I guess we're talking over. We'll get back to the episode in hand. But Shigaraki, I think he embodies just the person that just wants to be the villain, and that doesn't necessarily mean that they're a bad person. Granted, in Shigaraki's case, he's insane. But like there are people who just want to be a villain. I think that's what it is. Like I think they're just people who just want to be a villain because they think it's more fun that way. And for a lot of cases, it is kind of true because they don't have moral codes. That they're able to do what they want for the most part. Heroes are powerful, but like the thing that restrains them utilizing their abilities to the fullest extent is the damage that they can do with them. So like they try to, be as like peaceful as they can, but when it comes down to it, they'll utilize what they're capable of to stop the villain. But I think Shigaraki is like, I mean, unless for some strange reason it, maybe the kid changes his mind, like, because Deku's basing all of this that he can save them based off the kid. That's really that's what Deku is, in his mind. He's not caring about the shell. Like he could care less about the shell. It's the little kid that he saw inside that he wants to save. I don't know how he's gonna do that if he can do that, because the little kid definitely told him that I want to be a villain. Like, yeah. I don't know. I really don't know. It's like, story wise, yeah, if they do save them, I don't know how I'll feel. I'll have to wait in the moment. But it's just one of those things. It's like, I find it hard to believe that he's gonna save Shigaraki, because I just don't think he wants to be saved. But back to the episode, the Bakugo part of the episode, that was so great. And actually, it took a few rewatches of the fight when he was fighting All For One for me to pick up on this, because it took first of all, listening to Bakugo saying, I wish I could have stood up on my feet and raised my fist in the air like All Might did. And it made me, it brought back to my memory that I forgot that Bakugo is probably not, Bakugo is probably, if not the biggest fan of All Might, period, next to Deku. And like, it's one of those things. I think Deku mentioned that, Bakugo kind of emulates All Might in some instances. Not everything that All Might does, but he kind of emulates him a little bit. He kind of emulated All Might during his fight with All For One. There's a few instances of like, when Bakugo was like throwing explosions at him in the air when he was keeping All For One down, throwing 1,000 explosions at him. It was kind of like interesting of how All Might kind of throws his punches and keeps his foe down on the ground, and keeps them pinned where they are, so he can keep it, throwing punches at him. That was kind of cool.
Hulk style?
Huh?
Hulk style?
I guess. But I guess it was like less Hulk, more like Firestorm. Well, not Firestorm. That's a freaking DC hero. Screw that. But he, like,
the most horrifying thing about the Hulk to me, like when I first saw him in animation, was that like in most storylines, like you get knocked down and like you're defeated and that's the end of the fight. When you get knocked down like against the Hulk, like he just comes over, he wants you to be a smear of blood on the ground. Like he's gonna keep punching. And it's like that's the most terrifying thing. Then now that you're down and you can't defend yourself anymore, like Hulk gonna keep smashing. And you're gonna like, now begins the beatdown until you die portion of this, and probably not gonna stop even after you die. I know I'm getting us off topic, but that was always like the most horrifying thing about the Hulk to me.
No, I think the Hulk will stop after he beats you. I mean,
no, he doesn't. Yeah, I mean, it does depend on the iteration of the Hulk, but like green regular Hulk is just going to keep punching. I could show you examples if you want, if you don't believe me, but you could also take my word that they're there.
I'm just gonna move on with the anime. I'm not gonna force you to look stuff up. But But yeah, but like also the other moment that really emulated One For All, and I kept on seeing, I mean not One For All, All Might, was like the very last attack that he did, and it was a clear inspiration from All Might when All Might did the United States of Smash. It was like the ending where he blew up All For One basically, from the back to the torso, and All For One, and then he just hit him in the face. Like he always, like somebody brought him like Bakugo always grabs people by the face. And they were really
he does like to explode you directly in the face, doesn't he?
I guess it's one of those things like he always does. I just never registered it. I never registered after a certain point because it was just a part of his fighting style. He's a grappler, so basically he's gonna grab you. But it was interesting to hear somebody say like he always grabs him by the face. It's like, oh yeah, you're right about that, isn't it? He just blows him up and just sends him back to babydom. But I thought that was kind of interesting. A part of me was like, as I was watching it for the third time, the fight, I was like, you say run would have really went well with this, because it would have been like, Bakugo trying to pretend to be all might, like according to Deku, which he always does as a kid. But it just brings up the fact that that he's emulating him here as much as he can while being himself and smiling like at a sadistic freak. But he's trying to be the hero that he wants to be. He's trying to be All Might, the guy that always wins his fight. And that's like what Bakugo always admired about All Might, is that he always won, no matter what. So it was kind of interesting to see it happen here. Like, Bakugo gets a chance to not only he had the best day ever in this particular moment. He got recognized by his favorite hero. His favorite hero gave him something like Deku did, but it was more like it was a gauntlet to keep his arm from dying. And in 3, he got a chance to beat the villain that he holds responsible that he holds responsible for him being in direct danger that ended All Might's career. Like, Bakugo had the best day here. He'll probably won't remember it, but he had the best day here.
I hope he remembers it. He's gonna need this in himself.
But it's it's one of those things, like I just like that, this was probably I don't know if I want to call it the epitome of Bakugo, but this is probably the best showing he's had. And that's what I say, like, I'm glad that he got a chance to do this, because Bakugo hasn't had a lot of W's in he's had a few, but he hasn't had ones that stand out to me. And I think this one is probably one that's going to stand out. It's like he managed to help take down One for All. And on top of that, not only that, he even makes
So
mention of it.
I know this is gonna piss you off a little bit, maybe, but like, is this Bakugo's Topo?
In what way?
You remember when in the Tournament of Power, Vegeta got to defeat Topo?
Uh-huh.
And that was like he defeated a very powerful enemy, but it was the number 2 on the field at that time. Is this Bakugo's Topo to Goku's Shigaraki?
Keep calling Deku Goku. I feel like I need to start
Because
saying that.
Bakugo and Deku are definitely like a Goku Vegeta little pair there.
Yeah, I'm aware. I'm not saying that you're wrong on that. I'm just saying, like, you call Deku Goku, though I know that their names are really similar. Granted, Deku's name isn't really Deku; it's Izuku. But whatever. No, I get what you mean. I guess yeah, this would be. I feel like Open One might be a little bit more dangerous than Topo, but I think they still kind of mean the same thing in the end of the day. Just shedding, their past a little bit as they're fighting their strongest fight yet. I will say,
Yeah.
what I also like about this particular fight about Bakugo, it isn't really even the fight as you would think it is the fight. I love the character growth that happened during this fight, because basically it was Bakugo before, and we have all the flashbacks too of like when Bakugo started out, and he was this like punk kid that that you didn't think was going to really amount to much. At least I didn't think he was going to amount to much. I remember I told you when we first started reviewing this, I thought Bakugo was going to be that kid that was all talk and no action, and then it started showing that that was not going to be Bakugo's story. But I would say this much: I wouldn't have known back then that he would be the one to take All for One. That is probably the biggest the biggest shocker for me, is like he got a chance to take out the big boss, kind of with the help of All Might, bringing him down to a level that Bakugo could fight him on. And Bakugo knows this, because he even says it during the fight, like, I wasn't the one who took you down. I had everyone was around to take you down. And I guess
That was the biggest plot development. That was the biggest character development moment of them all, when he says like, "We did this."
yeah, but I also want to say there's also another kind of metaphor, kind of basically. All for One got taken down by One for All. Basically, in that one moment, it was everybody, including Bakugo, surrounded by Bakugo, taking him down. And on top of that, All for One sees Kudo and Bakugo. Like he kept on saying that. Like, I don't know why you remind me of him so much, even though you're not related, as far as he can tell.
Mm-hmm.
But it was kind of interesting, it metaphorically got taken down by the other half of the power that he gave up. Yeah, that was like to me, like that was probably the more important thing about this entire fight. While the fight was cool and I enjoyed every minute of it, by the way, I enjoyed watching Bakugo get to go wild because he doesn't get to do that a lot. Um, well, he doesn't do that a lot in a lot of fights because sometimes he ends up being blown away because plot development, whatever. But it's cool that Bakugo got a chance to do this. Like, and it's like to me, it's like the best day ever for Bakugo. Was like all the things he ever wanted happened all in the same day, and like I know he's out for the count now. He's passed out. I guess I also want to bring up too. I hate the I hate the kind of like reversal that he pulled on us when All for One was a baby and then shot him with the mouth cannon thing. And it looked like Bakugo got hit in the head. I don't know what that blood was. That must have just been when Bakugo opened up his mouth, I'm guessing. I don't know, but like when Bakugo grabbed it with his mouth and then tore it, it broke it down, and basically doing that was enough damage to All for One to send him back to to send him back to being a sperm.
Yeah, it was fun watching him turn into an embryo, wasn't it?
It was really disturbing. The baby thing, I gotta say, the baby thing was disturbing.
The baby thing when Bakugo was like gonna faint, and you're like, "Oh my god, if he faints, he gets killed by a baby."
That was not my
Was
thought. I
pretty.
was like, Bakugo's gonna kill a baby. I was like,
No, I imagined him going down and then just getting brutally killed by this crazy eye baby, and that was like what threw me off.
I was like, he did get stabbed in the face. I was like, oh no, no. And then he was like showing that he grabbed the spear by his mouth. I was like, oh, that's some good
Well,
reflexes.
I mean, they go really ham-handed in deceiving the viewer because like they um they even show like when they show the silhouette, there's even sort of a splash.
That's what I'm
So
talking about.
like
I
they're
thought he
really
got
like,
stabbed, but I'm guessing that must have just been blood that Bakugo spit up when he opened his mouth to grab the spear. The only way I could explain it is like
hmm.
either
I
that.
also I didn't fully understand why why that killed the baby, like why that damaged the baby.
I mean, that spear bone like structure is a part of him, as far as I could tell. I can only understand maybe it's because he is so weak and feeble by this point. Why I say feeble. He's so weak and brittle right now that any amount
Uh,
of like considering that like quirks are a part of your DNA, whatever like that. Maybe it was enough damage. That or like Bakugo probably like sent some sweat his direction. I'm guessing is the other thing too, because like when the spear.
well, if he sent some sweat in his direction, then Bakugo killed the baby, and I'm not willing to. I guess I'm willing to believe it because it's Bakugo, but like I don't know. I don't. I just like to think that Bakugo didn't kill a baby.
It's also possible that maybe One for All, because One for All was like panicking at that point as a baby because he was seen. I need to get to Toshinori. I mean, not Toshinori. I need to get to Shigaraki. I need to transfer my mind into him so I can take over his body. It sounded like to me he was really panicking, so it's possible that maybe he was still being rewound. Um, but I don't know. Like, I suspect that the breaking the bone is what like rewound him further. Is the only thing I could think. Is like it's possible that the freaking because it came from his mouth for the most part, and I suspect that maybe
Uh
that's
huh.
just the bones are just a part of his being. Like the quirk that he uses the most is probably the most connected to him physically. But I'm guessing just
Hmm.
breaking the bone was enough damage. It wasn't a lot of damage. It was enough damage that it was enough to send him rewinding back to being an embryo, and then the embryo just flat out disappeared because he couldn't be around any further. He had to disappear. Imagine
Yeah,
that.
like
Imagine
he
that.
was on like one point or something.
Just imagine that you die by being rewound. Like you start
Hmm.
out life coming into this world, then you die leaving it, but not the normal way you leave this life. End up getting, you essentially die by being unborn, basically, which is
Mama put
insane.
you back in.
Dear God, in this kid's mama ain't around, so it didn't go anywhere. It just disappeared.
Yeah, I am an adult. Sorry.
No, you're not. Boink.
I need an adult. I am an adult.
That was a really cool. Like, Bakugo got his revenge on All for One. Everything. It was interesting. I also just loved like all the flashbacks of Bakugo throughout the years of like, well, throughout the years that we were watching, of him like slowly, becoming a better person, and then it's what it climaxed to this point where was more accepting of help. I didn't even bring this up too. Like, he was even like respectful of Edge Shot back when Edge Shot like came out of his body, told him that he sold him out. He called him sir. That's not something that Bakugo normally does. He doesn't respect people all that much. Show them respect anyway. But it was clear that Bakugo was changing. Then basically, falls on his back with his hand and with his fist in the air, like All Might, and he just says like, "You got this, Izuku." Which I thought was probably like the best way for him to faint. Was basically giving his like approval to Deku, even though Deku couldn't hear him. I also like the fact that before all that, before he's did the highlights or impact, he said, "I'm not gonna get in your way anymore, Deku." I don't know what that meant. Something I could maybe say is like, okay, maybe he's gonna try to be more supportive of him in the future. Who knows? That like this episode was just great. I don't know what's gonna happen next though, because the next few episodes is gonna be Deku's fight with Shigaraki.
Yeah, isn't there like 6 episodes left?
I have no idea.
That's a lot of episodes for Deku to just be fighting. I think we could still see some trying to save this guy. That's enough episodes for there to be plot. The other thing that could happen, and I hate to say this because I know how happy you are about Bakugo right now, is that All for One's remnant in Shigaraki could become a factor where like All for One has a reemergence through Shigaraki.
Well, at least I mean I like, not that I'm open to it, and more like I'm probably resigned to it at this point. But I think in the preview it was brought up something like apparently All for One may not actually be gone totally yet. So he kept on saying as he was rushing towards Shigaraki that there was a piece of him still in Shigaraki's mind. It's just that like
Mm-hmm.
oh, that's right, I just forgot. We should probably talk about the as All for One was dying and then he disappeared. All the quirks that he taken, like were had a physical manifestation, quote unquote, and there was Hawks in there, and I hate that I know that it's basically confirmed that no one's gonna get their quirk back. It just sucks that apparently Hawk's quirk is gone forever now, meaning like Hawk is quirkless forever. Like Hawks is
Yeah.
quirkless forever, and that just sucks. And everybody else who had their quirk stolen too during that war, they're quirkless forever now. Like now there's a bigger subset of people without powers than there was before, because
Mhm.
like
And yet they can't accept All for One.
hmm? Like I missed the
And
joke.
and yet they can't accept Deku's One for All, I mean.
Actually, could they?
I don't know, based on the definition you just told me.
But no, but like I mean, does that count for somebody that once had a quirk but now doesn't? Wouldn't that by definition make them quirkless?
Uh-huh.
Now I'm not gonna go down this rabbit hole. I don't need to. Like I feel like I'm gonna start falling. I'm not gonna stop falling. I'm not gonna go in that hole. Anybody else wants to do that mental gymnastics, you go for it. I encourage it. Don't quote me. I'm telling you right now. But yeah, it's kind of just sad. Like Hawk's quirk just says like it would have been nice to go back. And I'm like, no. We spent this entire show. At least I think I spent most of the show thinking that maybe if All for One died, people get their powers back. I mean, granted, the people who are already dead, the people from a long time ago, I mean, they're dead. They're not gonna get the quirk back because they're not alive anymore. But the people who are still alive, I feel like they should be entitled to their ability. But kind of wonder. I wonder how the world's gonna be after this, because, like, for the most part, everybody, everybody had an ability on Earth at this point. Like now, it's like now there's gonna be a bigger subset of people who are quirkless. Gonna make Deku basically being quirkless kind of like not much of an anomaly, even though he was an anomaly. Now it's gonna be a lot more normal people hanging around now than there is like people who have powers. I wonder what that's gonna do to the society that already exists, because like there's all kinds of discrimination already in the world. Like adding people who don't have abilities is gonna just like cause a balloon of more discriminatory actions, I would think. But I think they could always be. I mean, All Might show them that they can be a hero by a twerk with a freaking suit. Maybe that's what's gonna happen. Maybe there'll be an uprising heroes with using Iron Man like suits now. Like now that All Might shown that he can use one effectively.
Yeah, I mean, it would have. I think that would have held up against almost any villain except the one that he fought against.
I think it held up well enough. I mean, like I said, All Might didn't go in that fight thinking I'm going to defeat him. He's just going to try to rewind him to a point where All for One couldn't be a threat anymore. This is insane. Like All Might's 50 years old, and he pretty much sent his greatest villain back to being a baby. But
Baby fighting, baby fighting, baby fighting.
reality. Um,
Babality.
the end of the episode, basically. Well, the preview of this episode. It seems like Sugar. It seems like they're hinting, at least when I could tell, they're hinting at that he might still be around, and I'm guessing maybe that'd be the case because it was kind of almost hinted that from All for One that his psyche is still in there inside Shigaraki. Just Shigaraki managed to like, he managed to push it down so he got control of his body. Maybe it'd take a shock or something for him to come back. It's freaking possible. Like All for One doesn't go down easily, unfortunately. I mean, yeah, it'd be unfortunate now for Deku to fight him now inside Shigaraki's body, but
All for One did kind of go down easily. I think Bakugo took him down a little easier than he should have gone down.
I mean, he was being rewound. I don't know how what could have been done there. I mean, he was being blown up consistently.
He could have attained a small amount of Bakugo's blood and used the blood curdle ability to freeze him.
I guess, but that would require thinking. He wasn't doing all that. He was still upset about his younger brother.
Right, because he was fighting like a bitch. Like he was not doing a very good job.
Man, honestly, I think it's probably the best way for Bucko to have done anything. But that's just me. I mean,
I don't know. I'm glad that Bakugo won, but it would have been a cooler victory if All for One had fought better and Bakugo had still won.
I don't know. I don't know if I really want him out at his best, because we've seen what All for One can do at his best. And he has too many contingency plans at this point. Like,
but Bakugo didn't have good counters for All for One doing his best. Like when he made that giant like flesh rocket and shot it, and Bakugo did that like weird trick with like the raindrops.
I'm surprised you didn't bring up the like Bakugo sweat in his mouth and then blew him up on the inside.
Because it was really ambiguous. I'm like, what explode? I didn't get where the explosion in his mouth came from. Like,
I think it was.
I didn't see the explosion in his mouth. And what if it was in his mouth? Then how did it needs an impact to detonate? So like, when did it get that impact that needed to detonate? It didn't make sense to me.
No, I think Bakugo just exploded it from a distance. What it looked like to me is like that's like what happened is that he exploded it from a distance because he was All for One was coming towards him, and all Bakugo was saying is, "Please explode, please explode, please explode."
Why didn't he just explode it earlier then if it was in his mouth the whole time?
I don't know. I don't get. I feel like all the I thought the explosions and the raindrops were just an added like flourish to something, showing him that
The weird thing about the raindrops to me was like, so Bakugo can now like has like some sort of telekinesis like over his sweat drops. Like when did that happen?
No, he
I know
as far as I can tell, when the raindrops covered his sweat, which I'm surprised
No,
that
he
he
covered
knows.
his like nuclear sweat with regular sweat, and then they were hovering, had them hovering.
No, I thought that was a raindrop. I thought he said he covered his sweat with the rain, and he just had them
No, it
explode.
very specifically says normal sweat. He covered his explosive sweat with normal sweat. I didn't know he had normal sweat, and then he had them hovering there. Apparently, that part I'm less clear on, and
Well, he had them
made like a
explode from a
wall
distance.
so that when he flew into it, it exploded.
Well, I mean, but at least what I could tell, I mean, okay, I thought that was rain that covered his sweat, but like it looked like at least the animation had it seem like he had like a tiny explosion because it dampened the explosive properties of his sweat. But he was able to have it explode from the back, almost like a tiny rocket. And just had it sent flying, is what it looked like he was showing that he was capable of. And we know Bakugo can do precision explosions, so I don't think that's too much of a I gotta find this part where I know he had things covered with. I thought I was insane because it was raining that he. It. No, it looked like he definitely blew him up from his mouth. I don't know when that happened, but it definitely did there. Like he said, please blow up, and all of a sudden, All For One's head just went rocketing back and forth. Then his eye just kind of like his left eye popped out, like there was an explosion right there, which is insane.
Mm-hmm.
And like All For One's like, I didn't see him do anything, but you know, it's clear he did something. I've been touching this so like All For One's Omni factor. That is so grotesque. I know at this point he doesn't care what he looks like, but still, like, good lord, man, have some dignity. A giant birthing whale. Missed it. See him do anything just now? One giant body come crashing down to. Rain's taking away some of my bang. Coated them and sent them flying. The drops coated with normal sweat. Oh, I didn't read that. I sent them out unexploded, mixed them up together after a delay. So he can. I guess what I want to point out actually, I think maybe, at least maybe I was misunderstanding how Bakugo's quirk actually works. I'm starting to think that Bakugo's ability is the nitro, like the nitro stuff that he sweats out of his palms. I think the explosion is just like an after effect thing, like something that he's capable of. Like maybe he's able to cyanotically just explode things. It just happens to be that he needs the sweat that his body produces to do it. I've been wondering for a
Yeah, it's just
while.
weird that
I've been wondering for a
it's weird
while
that like
now.
it was just hovering amongst the raindrops, though. You know what I mean? To be a wall for when the guy hit it.
Yeah, but I'm guessing it just like Bakugo's ability has always been his sweat, not been the explosions. Even though his quirk is called explosion, it's like it's looking like a lot of his ability, his fine-tuned ability with his ability now, has everything to do with his sweat and not his explosions. It's just his explosions are an after effect of his ability to control when his sweat detonates. I didn't read that apparently he coated his sweat, his nitro sweat, with his regular sweat.
Right. Like again, it was a surprise to me that he even had regular sweat.
I think I read that somewhere from the creator that he definitely can sweat regular. I just think it wasn't something that was ever, you know. I mean, I guess it makes sense because, like, I mean, the sweat at first, the sweat that he explodes comes from his hands. That doesn't make sense if he doesn't have regular sweat glands. Because like, he would overheat otherwise. So, I mean, I guess, like, you know, I guess you would assume that he would have regular sweat glands. But it's just because he's always sweating the detonation beads, like. So basically, he sent them out unexploded, and then when they mixed, he exploded them then. So apparently, that's somewhere his sweat can just mix in with the nitro, and I guess make a concentration that he can explode from a distance. again, that's what I mean. Like I said before, I think his ability has more to do with the sweat than the explosions. I really think so. I don't really know. I'm probably just making crap up now, but it's just like I feel like I don't know if the explosions were ever really his ability. It was an after effect of what his sweat can do, which is still his ability. But I don't know. I just assumed that because the way he said it, at least I was reading it, he had sent them to he had sent them forward with a mini explosion, but then when, as you said, when they made impact, they exploded even bigger. Because according to him, he said the rain was like bringing in the explosive charge down, but they weren't as powerful as they could be if it wasn't raining. That's why I assumed that it was the rain covering his sweat beads versus his own sweat.
Hmm.
So
But I don't even understand what does the sweat covering the sweat beads do?
he said like he sent him, he pretty much mixed them. Apparently after they got covered by his normal sweat, they mixed together. I don't know really what that ultimately does. As far as I can tell, maybe that just makes it like bigger explosion.
Why would regular sweat make exploding sweat explode bigger?
Maybe it was something
It
that he
doesn't make
thought he
enough
just didn't know
sense.
it could work, and he just sent them out. Maybe he has some form, like some like little form of like ability to manipulate water, but it isn't strong. It's just strong enough where he can use it to manipulate his own liquids. So again, I'm starting to wonder if his ability has anything to do with explosions primarily. I think maybe it's just like the explosions are secondary, the sweat is the primary. It looks like the more he sweats, the more explosions come out, and now he's able to sweat that stuff everywhere. Because he's producing a lot of it at this point. So like, okay, like starting to be curious because kind of like how like Invisible Girl, who I was kind of wondering after after like what happened with her and Aoyama and the laser beam hitting her and making her visible. Like how I'm starting to wonder if her ability has anything to do with her being invisible, but more about light refraction. Like maybe she misunderstood how her quirk works. Maybe,
Yeah, I
maybe,
could see Invisible Girl's abilities like picking up significantly.
maybe Bakugo's misunderstanding how his quirk ultimately works, and he's only utilizing a minimum like understanding of how his ability works. But it doesn't really matter because he's using it to the best he can, and it's weird. I gotta say, I almost wish he had like. I love that he says like one quirk is all you need. I love that. That's a very like nice phrase. Just they should sell that on a t-shirt. I'm not gonna, but someone should.
One quirk is all you need. Yeah, that would be a pretty good one. So let me look at my notes here.
Oh shoot.
I think again, I think All for One is not done. I think he's gonna. They still have to deal with the one in Shigaraki. I think that's gonna like somehow try to come out. I didn't quite understand. There was one part where he mentions at 19 minutes and 18 seconds that the version of him that's inside of Shigaraki has not used his trump card or was suppressed before he could use his trump card. But I didn't understand what that trump card was.
I mean, he made multiple mentions that apparently that particular version of himself was supposed to take over Shigaraki. Um, maybe that is the trump card, or like, oh no, based on what you said, that's not the trump card. But maybe it's like, it's possible. It's because like All for One, he can force a quirk upon you. He doesn't need your permission. That was shown when he did that
Mhm.
to Yoichi, his brother. He forced that quirk on him. He didn't ask for it. But it's possible that maybe All for One hit a quirk on Shigaraki that Shigaraki does not know about. But with that being said, I'm pretty sure Shigaraki probably is aware of it. There's no way he wouldn't be. But
Mhm.
like maybe that quirk has some like side effect, or maybe Warp has some like additional ability. That's one thing about like that we don't completely know what's going on right now. President Mike and President Mike and Racerhead are with what's his name? I forgot the warp dude's name, Kuragiri. But they're off somewhere with Kuragiri right now. Maybe like Kuragiri's warp ability has something we don't know that it can do, or that little warp that All for One's got. It's got an extra ability to it, like that we don't know of, and maybe that's what he's betting on. Because again, All for One has contingency plans upon contingency plans. This is annoying, but like it would make sense that maybe he has a contingency plan on Shigaraki, just in case Shigaraki does like outwit him, which he has done. And apparently, he wasn't prepared for it. But it seems like maybe the contingency plan was something that he wasn't prepared for. He just put it there just in case something went wrong. It's possible that maybe there's a quirk on Shigaraki that we don't know about, or there's something else that his psyche can do that Shigaraki suppressed. Because it doesn't seem like All for One, even because I would say this much, even though Shigaraki did suppress him, he didn't seem all that worried. He was just more shocked that Shigaraki's will was that strong. But it's possible that maybe like he knew that psyche version of himself that's inside All for One. I mean that's inside Shigaraki may have an extra, like you say, trump card. Like maybe it can do something that we're not aware of yet. The only thing I could think.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's capable because I mean again we didn't even know like All for One could implant himself into another person. This is a whole different new ability that we didn't know he freaking had
Yeah.
since the beginning of season 7. We didn't even know he could do that. So that's one thing. So maybe there's something with that ability to send himself into Shigaraki we don't know about. But I will say, it's like even though Shigaraki did outwit him, it didn't seem like it worried All for One all that much. He just seemed more like, okay, I'm gonna get up to you now. Basically, maybe there's something that he's done that Shigaraki that he hasn't activated yet. I don't know what that trump card would be because I can't see for certain. The only thing I can think is that maybe, just maybe, like All for One can take over his body fully now that he's not separated, like by separated mentally and physically by him anymore. Because now that his body's gone, his mental his psyche is still inside Shigaraki. Maybe it's strong enough to overtake Shigaraki. Maybe that's what the trump card is, that he knows he can take over Shigaraki. He's letting Shigaraki have his fun for right now.
Well, I think getting Shigaraki taken over when he was trying to seemed to be important, but I don't think he has no chance. That's kind of where I'm standing with it.
No, I'm saying I'm pretty, like, he doesn't seem all that concerned that Shigaraki shook him off. He was just taken aback that he was capable of it. He didn't seem all that concerned when it happened. It didn't seem like, oh no, what am I gonna do now? Like he didn't do that. He just said, huh, curious. Basically, it's like, I didn't know you were capable of doing that to me. Basically, like I'm pretty sure it's like I mean, Baga got a win. That's all that matters. He took out the body. That's it. If you gotta deal with the freaking psyche, that's freaking fine. I mean, this is a better numbers game in my book because like I still don't think Deku could have taken on both of them. Like which is what your theory was. It's like that he was just gone over there. Like no, I don't think Deku could take on both of them. I think he could take on one of them for sure, but I don't think he could take on both of them. It couldn't be both of them. It had to be either one of them. Like to me, like this is the better outcome. Now, if he has to fight All for One, it would be inside the body of Shigaraki, but I don't know what that's gonna look like.
Yeah, that's going to be strange. And Deku's going to lose one of his quirks to Shigaraki too in the next episode. I wonder if that'll build into the story somehow. If that's going to trigger anything.
It said that?
Yeah, if you'd see the preview at the end of the episode.
I saw something that looked like he said he was going to attempt it. Didn't think that they confirmed that he was.
It seemed pretty clear to me that he was. Yeah, you can go rewatch the preview. I think he's going to lose Black Whip.
I don't know. Deku seems to be really, really in tune with Black Whip more so than any other ability he's utilized.
I don't think being in tune with something is any protection against losing it.
Just the fightings. I think it's horrible happens. That giant hand thing. I don't know if it's metaphorical or something actually. Okay. Well, well, I mean, they call it history's greatest villains, so something obviously is gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I mean, we'll see. I don't want it to be Black Whip considering how much like he seems to be so used to it. Like, and I get that just because he's had more time with it, and that was the first ability that manifested. But still, it was just one of, like it's to me, it's like of all the abilities that Deku's been using throughout the course of the freaking series, Black Whip seems to be the one thing that he seems to be he gotten really used to really quickly. Like, it doesn't seem like he's like all that in tune with float all that much, or it doesn't seem like he uses it a lot. And second gear might be the second uh gear shift might be the second ability he's utilized the most now, but I think mainly
Mm-hmm.
because it's just the amount of power that it offers. But he's used the ability to see into the future a little bit. I don't think he's used it that much. I think I named them all, but I don't think I. But whatever. Um, yeah, but yeah, hope he doesn't lose back with that stuff. I guess it's gonna make them a little sense because it makes for Shigaraki that means Deku can't hold him down anymore. Um, I guess we'll see what happens. I mean, it seems like Deku's about to like give it his all. There's like a scene, there's a scene of him charging up his arm like he's about to hit him with a smash.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I cracked my knuckles there. I think you heard that.
I did. I didn't realize that the what I was.
Oh, sorry. Any
That
more?
was pretty nuts. Um. Let me take my notes. Was that Yoishi's hand that is now on Shigaraki's face?
Hmm.
Because he cuts his hand off, and you see him holding it later, like at 10 minutes and 20 seconds. Is that the hand that ends up on Shigaraki's face that he like saved all that time?
That's disturbing. I guess that must have been the hand. I mean, it weird. Okay,
Um.
I didn't make that connection. Huh. Honestly, I didn't even realize that was like the hand he was looking at so intently there was his brother's hand. I don't know why. I thought he was staring at his own hand, trying to figure out why he couldn't take the ability back. But I guess that makes way more sense that he was holding his brother's hand.
It's wild, isn't it?
That's disturbing.
Yeah. I
Also,
thought that was pretty ridiculous. I thought that was pretty ridiculous.
yeah, I guess that must have been the hand that's on
Um,
Shigaraki's face. As long as they explain where the hand went.
and then this was just a little side thought, but since we're kind of picking up this and that that's left over, um, what is the name of the hero that stitches up Bakugo with his own body? What is that guy's name?
Headshot.
Ed Shot. How does Ed Shot speak in this little like tadpole form that he's in now. It looks with the echoiness of the speech, it makes me think that he's using telepathy.
Possible. I mean, he says that he's using his own. He's using his own when he's stitching people's up. He's stitching when he's using his ability to turn into a thread or whatever that he turns into. He's using his own
Uh-huh.
body chemistry, and it seems like his own electrical impulses are capable of doing other things too. I'm guessing. I guess it wouldn't
Uh-huh.
be too out of the ordinary that maybe he has the ability to speak through telepathy. For whatever reason, but he's only capable of doing it while he's in this string needle form. It wouldn't be impossible considering that our minds are like electrical impulses. Maybe he's doing something with that. I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah.
him speaking is like kind of weird. I'm not gonna lie, but I mean at the same time it's like possible. I don't think it would be impossible considering that his body wrapping his own body out and unraveling it.
I found that sort of interesting. I was just because the echo is what did it. Like you don't see his mouth move. There's no lip flaps or anything like that, and it's got that echoey quality. And I was like, I think he's speaking with telepathy. Um, I know that I'm thinking a little too deep maybe about some of this stuff, but it just was interesting to me. Um, it's- I thought it was very meta. How Bakugo and All for One are arguing about who's the main character. Because it continues on from the previous episode where like I'm the main character and he's like I'm the main character and then finally Bakugo is like we are the main character, on his everybody on his side. It's our story, and like not only is that like a big character development breakthrough for him, but I just thought it was kind of like a little silly, you know, like it's like they know that they're in a story and that it's not real life. Um, the trump card thing was at 19 minutes and 18 seconds, where he talks about not having unleashed his trump card yet. Not that it's going to give you any big insights that we haven't talked about already, but I do. That trump card thing makes me think there's going to be something that All for One isn't done yet because there's a trump card with the version of him that's stuck in Shigaraki. I wonder if the Trump when the wondered if I was hoping you had an idea when I brought it up earlier, but I was wondering if the quirk he stole will be somehow responsible for the reemergence of All for One, like if somehow it triggers All for One to come back. Um,
He could
this one
take
is just
out
really
Yoichi.
what?
Yoichi, his younger brother, he's still in the quirk space.
Yeah. So if he
And they
pulls out
met.
Yoichi,
Yeah.
what if he pulls out Yoichi's quirk, and that's why he can't pass All for One on anymore?
I mean, I guess that would make sense.
I
I
mean,
mean,
One for All. That's why he can't pass on One for All anymore. And then Yoichi would be in there, and then that would get because that's his quirk, and then that would get All for One inside of there riled up, and the two of them would be battling in the middle inside of Shigaraki, which would stir things up and get everybody going. That makes a lot of sense. Because that would be why the quirk ends with Deku.
that'd be the reason why it ends with him now. And before they kind of already said that because Deku such a oddity. That's such a weird thing. 'Cause I thought about that. I thought about that earlier. I guess I should have brought this up. I completely forgot to. But it's kind of interesting back when quirks first started showing up. Well, I mean, yeah, it'd be interesting story wise to see that happen. I don't know. I mean, part of me is like wondering if he just goes in there, takes Yoriichi out, and it just reawakens All for One altogether, and he becomes stronger. Maybe that's the trump
Mhm.
card. Maybe like All for One has some reflex of quirk taking he can do. Maybe like he's made it so that his quirk activates immediately on. He can't like sense his presence
Uh-huh.
like at all. Like he like his quirk knows he's not there, and then he just activates some like trap card. Like, oh, you have activated my trap card. Poof, and then Shigaraki just faints, and then he gets back up, but he's no longer Shigaraki. But really quick, what I want to say is like, considering that like, not Bago, but considering that Deku is an oddity, basically he's a rarity because he doesn't have a quirk. They brought this up because like Deku's rare.
Yeah, I
There was
heard you
there was
talking about it a few minutes ago.
yeah, I was gonna complete. I want to complete that thought, but it's interesting that like when quirks first started showing up, Deku wasn't a rarity. Like in the story, they bring up that there are people who don't have abilities and there are people who do. And it's like there was a point in history where Deku being quirkless wasn't rare. It was like a 50-50% shot. But at
So what
some
happened to everybody else? They all
that's
died?
basically it sounds like what happened is that's what happened. The people that had abilities didn't procreate much, or like their ability to like either what happened was that those people who didn't have quirks, their children or grandchildren had the ability to get a quirk, basically. Because I think they said that quirks were congenital. Here's my phone. I just want to look up what congenital means really quick. So I have an idea.
You said genital.
No, that's not the right word. Jeez. Present from birth. So yes, some people's quirks are just present from birth. But like, it's possible that maybe like in the as like generations started happening, more people, even the people who didn't have quirks, like you could have a quirk, but your grandfather, whoever, probably didn't have one. Possible for that to happen, but it just
Uh-huh.
became more because there was a presence of an ability. It just became more like when the dice got rolled, it just became a lot more common. I'm guessing is what happened. So the people who didn't have abilities to start dying off really quickly, but the people who did, there were just a lot of them, so there was a lot more chances of a quirk, being born. Basically, it's like with Endeavor and his wife. They had like a couple of children, and every single one of them had an ability. Uh, even like except for Deku's case, like he was the child of two people who had abilities. But it's possible like maybe at some point, like, that's basically what happened is like people who didn't have abilities because these were new and they were starting to show up randomly. Possible that people just started having abilities and it just kept on happening. At some point, it just became a 0% chance that you didn't have ability, but it wasn't like it was impossible. Just the chance was just that became rare. People who didn't have abilities were not a common thing. People like All Might, people like Toshinori or Deku wouldn't happen all that often, but they could. And I'm guessing what they're saying is that the chances of Deku running into a kid with an ability is very slim. So like the chances of Deku passing it on is like a 0% chance. I think they're saying that it's not impossible that Deku couldn't find a kid without the ability to pass it on, without an ability, but like the chances of it happening are very slim. Like it was basically it was like, I guess, destiny, quote unquote, that that All Might and Deku found each other when they did.
That's interesting.
All Might was attempting to give his quirk to some kid in the school, but he happened to meet Deku first. What I'm taking from it is like the chances of a quirkless child showing up is very freaking rare now. It won't happen. Though I say that now, based on the fact that there's like a lot more people, a lot of abilities, there's a chance that that whole gene pool could get reset again. Because now there's more people, a lot of abilities, just running around. Though again, those people had abilities, so I don't know what that's gonna do. Imagine having your entire life with your ability, and all of a sudden, some madman with no face runs up to you, puts his hand on you, and then takes your power away. Now you're running the rest of your life without the ability.
That would be very unfair and sad.
Yeah, but I don't care about fair.
Um, okay, so along with everything we talked about, it's really my last thing, and it's tiny. Is I really liked Bakugo falling on the ground with his fist up in the air, like that he wasn't quite able to stay standing. But that he like had his fist up in the air in triumph, like his idol. I thought that was a nice little good feeling for the end of it, and that they're kind of like, this is darker obviously than the first time around, you know what I mean? But like, there's been some good triumphs in these last episodes, and this is the payoff that like I needed at this point to not ruin, so that the anime didn't feel kind of ruined to me. Like I need positive things to happen now. I've done my dues, and I've endured all the terrible things, and now I deserve positive things to happen, and I'm glad that they're actually happening, and that, you know, Bakugo got something better than I expected for him, for example.
What do you expect for him?
Uh, I expected maybe he would, like I said, I expected he would have slowed down All Might, but not like All Might would have. I'm sorry, he would have slowed down All for One, but like All for One would still would have broken through in some form. I expected that when Bakugo went down last time, that was it for him. So he got back up and he had an extra blush. So he's done a few things that I were past where I expected. When he went down from the injury and he was being stitched up and almost dead, like I thought that he was out for the rest of the series until, you know, the epilogue when he was healed or something.
Yeah, that makes sense. I that whole moment with him on the ground with his fist in the air, like I more took that as like, you know, he it reminded me that I guess it not really reminded me, but it kind of solidified in my mind that like it really All Might, as much as like All Might is like Deku's hero, All Might is literally Bakugo's. Like Bakugo, you know, in some ways does emulate All Might, not in the positive, like showing the world, giving the world a peaceful structure, or like in All Might's ability to overcome challenges. Somebody who's apparently a likely a band evader, sorry. But he's kind of like emulating, All Might's unstoppable will to, see a battle to the end to win it, basically. And
Mhm.
like that's the part of All Might that Bakugo emulates, while Deku emulates everything else. I like that, he, again, I can't say enough that I like that, as you said before, he got the win. Basically, this is the end of where that's where his story of the where his part in the story plays out is done. He's did what he needed to do. It's awesome. He gets a chance to smile. Like, I mean, he's had so many genuine smiles in this particular season that I was kind of caught off guard by. I didn't know he could legitimately smile. So when he started doing it, I was like, oh god, he could actually smile.
I'm scared. Hold me.
Basically,
He's smiling. He's smiling.
it was like a legitimate smile. Some of those smiles were really, really nice, and it was like, to me, it's like, I'm not gonna lie, like when he was laying into All for One last episode, I was like, he could really be the number one hero, and I would not be upset by it. I would not be upset by it. So I'll always wonder, like, maybe like Deku isn't really telling the full truth of the story of like how he became number one hero. Like maybe Bakugo got it, then it kept it warm from him while Deku went off to do some training and came back and took it. That's how I
Mhm.
ultimately took the ending of the story was gonna be. Was like Deku's gonna obviously have to go off somewhere and do some training. He's not ready for the mantle yet. Not that Bakugo's any more ready for it, but like Bakugo, I think could handle it and take it and like run with it. Keep it warm for Deku, and then at some point it was gonna be passed off to Deku, and then Bakugo was gonna slide into number two. But like, then we also have the Shoto thing, and I'm like, I don't know where Shoto fits in this. I always figured that maybe those three were gonna be one, two, and three number one hero. And honestly, what I would like to actually happen is that Shoto does become number three. But what ends up happening?
What is Shoto doing in the story right now? I
He's
can't
done.
remember.
He took out his brother.
Oh, that's right, Dabi. That was pretty good. Dabi was the number 3 villain.
But what I would love to hope for, and this is like what my ideal situation would be. I know it's not gonna happen because it wouldn't be satisfying. But what I would like for is like number one, two, and three to like actually level out, and this be the top, like the top you know, they would call it top ranked heroes, and
Uh-huh.
number ones, two, and three would be essentially the same level. Like they all would be number one hero basically. These would be the heroes that you would aspire to, and they would be everywhere. They'd be like All Might, and they wouldn't necessarily need to be one hero taking up the mantle of keeping the world safe. So that way, it'd be Deku, Bakugo, and Shoto. These three are the most powerful of 1A anyway. And like, each one of them could like take on a group of villains easily, and they wouldn't necessarily need to be All Might. They'd just be all together. They'd be All Might, but like on their own, they'd be their own character basically. Like my ultimate, but I would. That's my dream. But at the same time, I know it wouldn't be satisfying for some people. It'd be satisfying to me, but like it wouldn't be satisfying story wise. We need to know what happens to Deku, and if what he's telling us the truth. If he's telling us the truth, that there is nothing he's hiding about him becoming number one. Well, I don't think he's hiding anything, but it could be freaking possible. There's something he's not saying when he's older that he doesn't tell us until the end of the story. But like he said he's going number one. Like I don't think Bakugo is gonna like take the number one spot and hold it for Deku until he comes back. But it could be possible. I mean, it doesn't seem like Bakugo hates Deku as much as he used to. That's possible. If Deku does disappear. But again, that's nowhere to be seen that he does. I don't know.
You know what I like about the whole thing?
But
How pissed off Endeavor must be that his son isn't even the number one fire using hero. Never mind the number one hero. His son isn't even the number one hero that can use fire. I just love that that's going to have to live rent free in Endeavor's head from now on.
I think Endeavor's change doesn't really care all that much anymore. I don't know why you're getting so much serotonin or whatever you're getting from that. Like that, I think you need to address whatever is going on in your life, if that actually gives you happiness.
I just think that's great. I think that like Endeavor must be really pissed off. I could you see him like sleeping in bed at night with his like, and his wife's like, "Come on, honey, let's get busy," and he's like, "I'm not in the mood, honey. I'm sorry." You're like, "No, let's make another baby. I made enough babies. It's obviously not going to work." What do you mean, honey? I mean, I'm not going to make a fire hero. I'm not in the mood. I don't want to talk about it. My son's never
You're
going to be
not
the number
giving
one fire
Endeavor
hero.
enough credit. I think he's learned his lesson. I don't think he's like on that whole let's make a baby for number one hero status. I think he's finally gotten past that.
That's like the one thing he spent his entire life trying to do, and like is make the number one hero. But like that's the twist of the knife is that not only did he make the number one hero, but that's not even the number one hero that can use fire. It'd be like, oh look, there's the number two hero that can use fire. Endeavor, what do you think, buddy? Pretty cool, huh? Worth beating your wife over, huh?
Okay, I think we're gonna end it here. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye, everybody. Come on, that was a good